It's acknowledging that we need to bring youth work to young people as opposed to the other way around where young people is bringing their problems to us. Detached youth work is the intersection between youth work and criminological theory. It's kind of acknowledging the intersections of street-based work, centre-based work, informal education.
Part of being a young person is that hanging out. So if you don't have a building or you haven't got a big enough front room or wherever, where else are you going to hang out? And I don't think that just because you've got a group of young people perhaps meeting to hang out, that it should automatically be seen as a problem, which is what it often is.
I think often young people are part of a community but not seen by the community as being part of that community. So often the community will call us in or talk to us or want us to respond and do stuff when they see young people behaving in a way that they don't find acceptable. So it might be that there's a hotspot and young people are perceived to be antisocial and it's making other residents of that area feel unsafe.
As youth workers, we've been invited out to stairwells in blocks of flats where young people have been congregating, smoking cannabis, and another service might see that as a problem, move them on, but you only really displace the young people. They go somewhere else and they smoke.
I have a premise. If we are so passionate about young people, we should know about young people. So I'm going to ask you some very basic questions about crime, culture, national reports, things that are going on in relation to young people, and my assumption is...
The beginnings of detached youth work, that was actually in the air raid shelters when the tubes were being used as air raid shelters, so that there were sort of people there to talk to young people who were obviously terrified.
In the 60s in particular, we saw a massive expansion in youth work and a professionalisation, and teenagers became a thing. At the time, there was a big moral panic about what these young people were doing in their spare time, and if they weren't in a building being supervised by adults, what sort of trouble would they get up to? So we as a profession detached ourselves from those building-based sessions to go and meet them as the unattached young people.
There's a lot of sort of problematic behaviour. You know, there's lots of use of drugs and alcohol, and we will go in and we will talk to them about the use of those substances, but equally we'll give them alternatives.
I would say a detached youth worker is someone that can go and speak to the young people in their own environment and kind of meet them halfway.
So, first question, what is beef?
How do I see detached youth work? I see it as engaging young people where they're at, in their environment.
Youth workers go out onto the streets and they basically meet young people in their own location and on their own terms.
Can you name for me 2 grime artists other than Stormzy? Youth work is not table tennis. It's not just playing football. It's about those interpersonal relationships that individuals have with young people that are faced by a range of different types of issues, and meeting young people where they're at using a person-centered approach. I think the key values that underpin detached youth practice is things like honesty, loyalty, passion, wanting to engage.
Sophie's job is so important because they help so many young kids our age, and it's just such a safe space, and we can tell the youth workers pretty much anything.
I think most importantly is understanding positionality. You know, what is your position? How do you see the world through your lens, you know, based on race, gender, class?
You have to kind of grow credibility. People kind of need to get used to seeing you around, know that you're okay, know how you're going to talk to them if they approach you, know what you can and can't offer and what you can and can't do.
Whatever the issues that we encounter, because of our training in mental health, in sexual health, in knife usage, in substance misuse, we're able to effect a lot of positive work or refer to specialists if needed.
We're really lucky here, like with the level environment, to have the kind of skate park. It tends to be quite a social hub for them to come and hang out. We open up this building and it kind of gives them the opportunity to come in somewhere warm, have some food, get a cup of tea and go from there really.
Through ongoing relationship building, we've supported them to start their own projects and maybe go into a youth club-based building or start their own football team. These are examples where detached work has evolved and created something hugely positive.
I got into youth work through detached work, so my current manager used to be my youth worker, and he was out on detached, and I met him and kind of got pulled into heading to youth clubs and then youth services, and then just kind of worked my way up and discovered that actually this is a career path that I'd really like to go down.
Quite often when you have young people who've had a bad experience at school or have had issues going on in their lives, they quite often want to put back once they get into adulthood, and they suddenly think, oh right, you know, this is what supported me, and I'd like to be doing the same for others.
I am actually going on to college to do a health and social course to become a social worker, and I have been influenced by Sophie because she does such an amazing job in helping so many kids.
In my opinion, this is youth work in its purest possible sense. I think it works because it's on their terms.
It's about you have as much right to be here as anybody else. You are part of this community, this is your space. But think a little bit about, and let's work together about how what you do in that space might affect another person.
One of the things that we can do that's really important is also getting people to understand what youth work is and understanding that young people are individuals that can change and youth work works.